Starfield. Whew, we just got 15 minutes of new Starfield footage and information. Thanks to Bethesda, I went to a physical event for the showcase, which was at 2 a.m. in my local time, and I haven't slept yet, and it is now 10 a.m. and I haven't slept since the day before. So here is all of the information. I am so tired, but we're going to get through this. Let's go. Let me know what you liked or disliked about the gameplay reveal for Starfield in the comments down below. And also shout out anything that I have missed. I guarantee I've missed something in my sleep-deprived state, but we're going to go through as much as we can. I'm going to break it down into individual sections, so check the chapters if you're looking for specific things. We'll start out with the thing that, everyone wanted to see, which was gameplay. In a nutshell, Starfield is like No Man's Sky cross Fallout with maybe a sprinkle of Mass Effect on top. They mentioned that the game will contain over 100 systems and just a cool 1,000 planets. So, if you're ever worried about exploring, there's going to be plenty to do in here. And there's obviously going to be probably some procedural generation stuff happening in there, but I'm not sure exactly how that'll work with some of the handcrafted planets that I'm assuming they're doing with some of the cities that we see throughout this trailer and some of the other cities we've seen in previous trailers as well. We saw some gunplay for a few minutes with a shotgun, assault rifle, an SMG type weapon, and a pistol. There was that quick little hotbar that we saw, which is typical to Bethesda games. And really, the gunplay looks like Fallout in mostly what I have seen before. General gunplay looks very similar. Assumingly, it's updated for Starfield, but the core gunplay looked like it's come from Fallout 4, which is maybe a good thing or a bad thing depending on your perspective on Fallout 4's gunplay. Though I didn't mind it. I thought it was actually pretty solid for a Bethesda game. I'll cover the UI in its own section because I think there's tons of interesting things to go over with the UI and the surveying, but we do actually see on the UI itself that there is a frag amount now here, which is a key element compared to other previous Fallout games where you would just throw grenades and equip them in your inventory and throw them, but they seem to be a bit more of a critical part of the combat flow here. And in that combat flow, we do see the character sprinting, which seems to drain the stamina bar, which is in the middle of your compass, that white half circle. It does look like there's kind of like a slide, like a crouch and slide. I've watched this little snippet back a couple of times and I can't really tell if they just crouch or if there's a little slide or how that exactly works, but I'm not really sure, so we'll just leave that there. And we also see a lockpicking minigame, and what Bethesda game isn't complete without a lockpicking minigame, honestly. The only real enemies we see the player fight is a couple of creatures throughout, but mainly the Crimson Fleet, which is one of the joinable factions that kind of like the bandit kind of faction, I guess you would say. And they do have levels next to their health bars, which is quite interesting for a Bethesda game that seems to have come over from Fallout 76. We also see some interesting verticality to the combat, which is something we haven't seen in a Bethesda game before. So there is some low gravity elements to the combat because of the low grav planets where you can jump up slowly and you get that kind of slow lowering down effect. There's also a jetpack booster, which is used at one point to cross a gap. And there's also this really small blink and you'll miss it snippet where you're literally floating in space and fighting like a Crimson Fleet person. And there is also a brief snippet just earlier in the trailer as well, where you can see like that take and transfer menu pop up, which is, typical Fallout, Elder Scrolls stuff where you can loot from all of the bodies you kill and you can pick up all of their items. There is also ship combat, speaking of combat, which feels very No Man's Sky, but you can see on the UI your ship's health and its shields on the right hand side, like its hull health, and on the left hand side you can see like a shorthand version of your ship stats, which we'll talk about more in the ship customization section. Check the chapters down below. You can lock on to targets and boost your speed, and it's also able to dock onto other like stations or other ships as well, so maybe there's something to do with, you take out other fleets and you can dock on them and steal their resources, something like that. Not really sure here. We didn't really get to see too much specifically as to how that'll work. So speaking of UI, we may as well break down all these different UI elements that we see. So there's a lot of interesting things that you see on the UI and it gives us a lot of information about the game and what we can kind of expect. We'll start with the main UI that you see just when you're exploring. Now, on the left hand side, you have your compass, which is like around that outer circle, and as you move the camera around, you can see it adjust, and you can see little different icons and markers on there, similar to previous BGS games. That inner white circle is your stamina that we mentioned before. The center shows the planet that you are on, and it gives you the name of that planet as well. There is also the O2 and CO2 meters listed there, but I don't know if they actually do anything or if they're just like set dressing for that menu, as when the player brings up the survey menu, which is very No Man's Sky. I hate mentioning No Man's Sky so much, but like there is a lot of No Man's Sky in this trailer. But so you bring up this survey menu, and on the left-hand side, you can see the planet or moon that you're on with the resources, the fauna, and the flora on that planet that you can scan and how many there actually are. So scanning these, what that actually does, other than just increasing that little survey percentage marker, we don't actually know yet. We can also see the compass change here as well, and it will show you the temperature of the planet that you're on, which potentially may mean that you need like certain types of equipment to explore some of the more hazardous planets. At one point in the trailer, we do see briefly a planet called Victoria, where the temperature here is minus 199. So whether that impacts, your suit and actually being able to land on the planet, we don't know yet. There's also an O2 meter, and so we can see in this footage the players wearing their helmet, as there isn't a whole lot of O2 on this planet. And there's also the grav measurement, and so you can see that that's like 0.522, and the player does have like a slow like moon jump kind of animation when they do jump on this planet. So assumedly on other planets that have more gravity, that a jump effect will be different. We also see the player use the survey overlay to identify the Crimson Fleet ship when they are investigating the research lab. We also got a quick look at what the main story arc will potentially revolve around. Now, the player themselves, we already knew that you become a member of Constellation, which is the last generation of space explorers, but the story seems to revolve around these artifacts and finding them and finding out what they do, and this seems to be the central plot point that's going to pull you along through meeting all of the different factions who seem to be directly involved with these artifacts. How you interact with these factions, like joining them or fighting against them or helping them, really is going to be up to you, assumedly based on the information they've said in the past. And if you're looking for a breakdown of the factions specifically, you should check out my last Starfield video as I go in detail of all these different factions. But these artifacts seem to be giving the player and other people some kind of visions or possibly speaking to them. And the Constellation woman specifically refers to the artifacts building something and unlocking their secrets. So it seems very central about what these artifacts are and what they're actually doing to be really critical to the plot as a whole. And in some of these little story snippets as well, we see a lot of the capital cities, and they look really dense and rich with people, which is going to be interesting to see how many of those people are set dressing compared to actually having interactable stories and things to really look at. Something that I am super glad that we saw a whole lot of is the character creator. It looks great as a whole. The faces look really like high res and well textured, and seems to be a lot more customization options here. You can change your body type, your shape, your walking style, like animations, plus all the usual suspects that you would expect in a character creator. The real fun stuff for me anyway is the background and the traits. A background gives you 3 starting skills, and traits are optional, which give you a unique advantages or disadvantages. Now, I'm not going to go through all of these in super detail because we did get quick looks at lots of different backgrounds of traits. I'm probably going to break that down in a different video and talk about this whole system as a whole as to the information that we know. However, just some quick things to specifically call out. In the Cyber Runner section, it does show a persuasion skill, which does specifically confirm that spell checks or speech challenges are going to be a thing in this game. And in the traits, there's some really interesting traits here that seem like super unique. Now, one that I liked was kid stuff. Your parents are alive and you can visit them, except like you lose 10% of your money as it goes to them. That seems really cool. And there's also ones that refer to religions, and if you're part of one of the religions, it affects your church store discounts, and you can't have one of the church store discounts compared to the other. It's really interesting. I'm interested to see what that really comes out to be. But speaking of skills, as you level up, you will gain skill points. Now, you use these skill points to buy skills in one of the 5 categories. The 5 categories shown was physical, social, combat, science, and tech. And obviously the skills underneath them reflect those major categories. Now, leveling up gives you a skill point. You use that skill point to buy a skill, which will give you the first rank of that skill. So using the ballistic example, that just gives your ballistic weapons extra 10% more damage. Now, you increase the rank of skills by actually using them and completing the challenge progress bar that's listed there. So for the ballistics weapon example again, you kill 250 enemies with a ballistic weapon and you get that next rank. And it also seems that the rank 4 being the last rank gives you something different to the general rank. So for ballistics, that last rank gives you a weapon range and increase by 30%, whereas the other ranks were referring to weapon damage. So the system seems to be like a hybrid of Skyrim's just using a skill to level up, and like the perk system from Fallout, but with a little bit more depth to it into how these ranks actually work. I like this system overall though. I think it's really well done from the little bit that we have seen. We have talked about customizing yourself. Now let's talk about customizing your ship. So you can build your own spaceship, including crew members. Now the interiors themselves, what kind of customizations you get with there, we didn't actually see, as we just saw that outside view of adding these different components and sections. So whether you can actually change the interior, we don't know yet, though I would absolutely hope that we can. I really want to make the inside of my ship special, not the outside. That's just me personally. So we can completely customize the outer look here and its layout, and it seems not to just affect its looks, it also affects the ship's stats and its crew rating and how it's powered and how it's used. The stats shown on the bottom of the screen really show that. The first three appear to be like weapon stats. So you've got LAS for lasers, BAL for ballistics, and MSL. I honestly have no idea what that is. Maybe it's like a plasma resource, but in the ship combat, you can see that when they're using like the laser weapons, that laser meter's going down. So it seems to be related to weaponry. We also see the ship's hull, which is just their general health, the shields, which is their shields, cargo, which assumedly this is the storage on the ship for everything you find out in the world. You can store it on your ship, and the total crew count of how many crew members you can have. Interesting to see exactly what the crew members actually do and how they affect, like if they actually improve your overall ship's performance, things like that. We also see the jump range, which is measured in the light years measurement, mobility, which is how well the ship will move in space, top speed, how fast it will move in space, and mass, so like how bulky that ship is. So lots of different stats here to break out, which directly seem to impact its overall ship combat and how it will play when we do get into that combat section of the being out in space and playing around in the combat. Whew, we are 10 minutes into this video and I've still got multiple sections to go. So bear with me guys, we are almost there. We've almost talked about everything. Next is crafting. Now crafting, we did see a little snippet of crafting. Now there's 5 different categories to crafting. There's the pharmacology, food and drink, outpost development, equipment, and weaponry. The real interesting thing on this screen is the research in progress, or the no research in progress, seemingly indicating that you'll have to research learning new crafting recipes or upgrades. You'll have to actually do that in the individual per category. So whether you find something out in the world, then you have to actually research it, how that works. We'll have to wait and see. But we do get a look at some weaponry crafting of a pistol, where you can see barrel mods, grips, optics, sights, muzzles, all sorts of things that you can put on the weapons. And it's using those resources like iron, nickel, and silite that we collect out in the world, that we see earlier in the trailer where the player is collecting iron on the moon planet. Preston Garby is back and it's time to build some more settlements, and these are actually called outposts in Starfield. The system seems to be an evolution from the Fallout settlement system. They do seem to have a much bigger settlement area. You can build them anywhere as well. The main noticeable difference here is that it's like a top-down view for building, so you can build from that top-down perspective. Again, we haven't seen any interior specific like settlement building, so what we can actually do in those nitty-gritty details, we'll have to wait and see. But it's mentioned that outposts are used for your survival. Interesting, when we're talking about temperatures that show on your UI, I'm not sure how that will affect, and resource generation, which resources are going to be important for things like your crafting. You can also hire people to have them run your settlements as well. Generally, for everything that we saw today, overall, I was pretty positive and liked almost everything that we saw. There was a lot of low frame rate in some of the footage, which obviously is assumedly will be ironed out in, the final release of the game. It looked like they were trying to hit 30 and get that like real cinematic kind of view, but didn't seem to work too well. It looked a little bit low. I did notice as well that some of like the colors look really washed out, like the saturation was turned down too low, and that ship combat looked a little janky. But everything else other than those, that's my only complaints. I really liked everything else that we saw. I really liked the talk about exploration and the story elements, as well as like all of the different skills and traits and backgrounds and building your characters in that way. I love that kind of stuff, so I can't wait to see more. And I mean, it looks like a BGS game through and through. It's just set in space with some really interesting things that they're trying to do and new things. I'm glad that they're trying something new in this single player RPG space, and I hope it really works out for them, because I'm enjoying what I've seen so far and I do want to see more. I have almost certainly missed something in this video. Actually, I did forget to mention something I completely forgot about. There is a photo mode. We do see it in the survey menu. There's a photo mode. Anyway, I am very tired, but we made it through. I've now got to go and edit this video and get it out to you guys. But make sure if you want to see more Starfield content, you sub to the channel, ring that notification bell so you can find out when I've woken out from my nap after I've made this video. Thank you guys for watching this video till the end. Thank you to our members for supporting the channel. My name is Norza, and I hope you have a great day.